What's going on, guys? It's me, Justin, of course, with Ruffled Feathers for another weekly Friday night recap. We've got an absolute fucking banger of a show today for you, as we're excited to talk football about what's happened in this past week, get a little bit of talk about what's happening moving forward, as well as coverage on when we're going to be doing the games this weekend. There's two games, of course. You have the AFC and the NFC Championship game. I'm excited to watch, obviously, one of them. My team's in it when it comes to the Ravens. But the NFC Championship game, I think it's going to be just as good. I want to see who you guys are pulling for. Who do you think is going to win? Why do you think that team's going to win? But we'll get into that later on the show. As always, please feel free, and please, if you love the content, drop a follow on the channel. Keep this stuff going. As well as, if you haven't checked it out yet, we take these videos, we take these shows, we put them over on the YouTube page of Ruffled Feathers Sports. So go over there and capture the other weeks, as well as this one that'll be up there tonight after the show airs. We get a little bit into it. I'll tell you what, football season is winding down, and with it, a piece of my heart is going away with it. But we do other things around here. I'm excited to talk about other sports, baseball, for sure. When it comes to the Baltimore the Mo's, how about the Mo's, hon? Talk about them a little bit as we get more and more into the season. Only month or two away from catchers and pitchers reporting. So I'm excited to get into that with you guys. We'll also be doing play-by-play for some of those games. I'm thinking about maybe doing the Orioles. There's 162 games, so there's no shot I'm doing all 162. But I'm thinking we could do like a Friday night game there and there. See how the vibe is. See how we like it. If we do like it, we continue on. I'm excited for it. But I'll tell you what. This weekend, it's Ravens weekend, right? Here around Ruffle Feather Sports, we don't hide and run and say we're an unbiased sports play. No, this is Ravens country. Ravens playing the Chiefs, and I'll tell you what, the Chiefs have been doing a little bit of this. Okay, they've been doing a little bit of this, so I think somebody needs to punch them in the goddamn mouth come Sunday. Hopefully, the Ravens get it. But we'll get into all that. We'll get into all that. We're gonna slide over here with BJ from the Griddle Show. If you haven't already, be sure to hop over and see my boy BJ, see my boy Bijon. He does a great job covering a wide variety of football teams as well as college football. Big Georgia Bulldogs fan, but also he's still dipping his toe in the NFL waters. He's bringing us a lot of content when it comes to around the league with things of that nature. So I say we slide over there. We'll see what BJ can do. We get into this week's show. What do you guys think?
That were made on officiating crews.
Ooh.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a second.
What's up,
ladies
baby
and
girl?
gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is everybody's favorite part of the stream. Put your hands together for my co-host. For my co-host, lover,
Yep.
best friend.
Check.
He's a part-time Hooters model, full-time dad, a single dad who works too hard, works one job but never stops.
Okay.
He did play semi-pro football without playing high school football. The man is a legend.
Okay.
My friend, Justin Ross Kelly, everyone.
Thank you, BJ, as always. I'll tell you what, if I could take...
Oh, and he's the president of Baltimore.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. If they offered me the job, I wouldn't take it. These rat-infested streets. But I'll say this. If I could take your introductions and make them into a blanket, no one would go cold tonight. That's all I'm saying.
I'll tell you what.
Always so warm.
I want you to know I go out of my way to try and give you literally the best introductions known to man. And all I get is this is BJ.
Hold on. All right. Ready?
Yeah, I want to see it. Come on.
All right, ready? Count me off. 3, 2, 1, go. Good. Say it.
And ladies and gentlemen, Justin Ross Kelly.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just heard pales in comparison to this man right here. This man right here, solid, meaty, 6'1", supple bosom, amazing, softest hands you've ever felt on your nuts. Let me tell you that right now. Okay, my part-time lover. He's married. Doesn't stop us from hooking up, so you know he's loyal. BJ from the Griddle. How you doing tonight, BJ?
You know, we can clean some things up, but I'm also not 6'1", I'm 6 foot, but I appreciate it. Give
I
me
have
the
an
inch.
inch.
I'll take. You give me an inch, I'll take a mile, baby.
It's not the only inch I'm just trying to give you. Oh, you know what I'm saying, big dog?
I'm actually 7 foot tall,
Sitting on your money, right?
and I'm retired from the NBA. Some may know
Wow.
me as Yao Ming.
Let me see. I can see it. I can see it.
Well, see what happened was when I was in college, I got real bad off on ramen noodles,
Is
and
that what it was?
everyone started calling me Yao Ming, and yeah, I just took it to the NBA. Hurt my foot several times. That's what took me out. But the Houston Rockets was a great organization, great team. I had
What
great
was Tracy
teammates.
McGrady like? What was Tracy McGrady
Absolute bitch.
like?
No, anyway,
Gotta
ladies
love
and
it.
gentlemen,
Gotta love
welcome on both sides of the streams.
it. BJ,
Yes,
how was your week? How was
it
your
was.
week?
It could have been better. It was pretty wet and wild,
Ooh.
and not in a good way. It rained a
Oh,
lot.
okay.
If you didn't pick up on that, it rained a lot.
Okay. Well, I can tell you this much. Um, anytime I have a wet and wild weekend, it resulted in both my children. So if it didn't result in that, I think you did pretty good.
True, very true.
What'd you think about those games last weekend? What'd you think about what brought us here? Ravens, Texans, uh, Chiefs, Bills. Let's just talk about those real quick before we get into the topics. What do you think about the AFC side of football?
Well, the Ravens Texans game went about as well as I thought it was going to go.
Okay.
I didn't think the Texans had a chance in hell. Now, Bills, I covered that one, but
Yes,
was
we did.
irritating game to say the least. Not how I wanted it to go, but I tried to stay as neutral as possible. It was pretty hard. Pretty hard. I think I
It
was
just
honorarium
sucks.
Bills Mafia that night.
Oh yeah, how many tables did you go through? None, or
Um,
metaphorically? I think we all got put through a
Metaphorically,
table.
I went through like 2 solid normal tables and then one really big table at the end of the game.
Damn.
Bad.
I'll say this. I did rewatch it, parts of it, because I wanted to see. Because when we're doing the game, we don't hear like noise and things of that nature. It was quiet. I think Bills Mafia should be ashamed of themselves, to be honest. There were times where I could hear Patrick Mahomes making audibles at the line.
Yeah,
That's
it's kind of
he's
hard because we mute it on our
yeah.
end.
So that's why sometimes I want to see like what that vibe was like, because I know from the Baltimore game watching that, dude, I know why CJ Stroud struggled. You couldn't hear shit in that stadium. That's why they had so many delayed games and false starts. Not the case in Buffalo. Not the case. Patrick Mahomes might as
Yeah,
well had a goddamn
uh,
home game. It was not loud in there, and I think
not loud enough.
if I'm putting a list together of people to blame, Tyler Bass is at the top of that list, and right behind it is the stadium, is the fans, because they weren't loud
That's
enough.
not fair. That's not fair.
Hey,
That's not fair.
I think that's pretty fair. Other people want to put
No,
Josh Allen at the top of that list, and I refuse to.
if anything, the whole team should be at the top of the list. Tyler Bass should not have been put in that situation. They should have gotten in the end zone. They should have thrown for over 20, a pass over 20 yards down the field. If anything, you put the damn offensive coordinator at the top of the list. Tyler Bass should have never been put in that situation.
I'm putting him third. I'm putting him third. Your job's to kick field goals, dog. I mean, he struggled all night. He struggled all night. We were watching that
Could
game.
you have made that field goal?
I'm not a kicker.
Could you have made it?
That's not my job. If my job was being a kicker, yeah, I would have made the less than 50-yard field goal that he attempted at the end of that game. That's all I'm saying. That's like
I disagree.
You drive a truck, right? You drive a truck.
Yeah.
Okay, if someone asks you to do your job, they're like, "Hey, look, dude, we need you just. This isn't even a hard job. We don't need you to go halfway across the country. We need you to do like a simple part of your job, which is just move it from this side of the parking lot to that side of the parking lot. Would you have a hard time doing that? Everybody's
No.
watching you, though. Exactly. That's my point. He was hired to do a job, so he didn't do his job. He didn't. He barely did
No.
his job all night. He almost missed
Justin,
every single one of those extra points.
I cannot fathom the point that you cannot agree with me that
I won't.
he should never have been put in that situation.
I understand that part of your argument, but when you're put in that situation,
And agree with me.
you still have to come through in the makeable field goal department. I mean, we're not talking about we asked them to try a 67-yard field goal. They tried it. What was it? A 48-yard field goal?
Look, all I'm saying is he cannot be at the top nor sole reason they lost that game.
I'm putting him at the top, but he's definitely not the sole. I'll say that. I'm putting him at the top, but he's definitely not the sole. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's fair. There you go. How about the NFC? NFC. Packers, Niners, and Lions, Bucks. I got a bone to pick real quick. I got a bone to pick with the Buccaneers because we didn't cover that game, but we watched it, and I've seen some clips of it. Why 35 seconds left in the game, less than a touchdown game? Why didn't the Buccaneers call a timeout?
I just don't. I think he forgot he had it.
I
think he forgot he had a timeout.
That's wild. That's a wild reasoning because
you asked for a reason. I gave you a reason.
I know. I think you're right. I'm just like, dude, they're dapping up. He nails that ball, and I'm like, why we dapping up? Fucking call a timeout. Make these sons of bitches either punch you a ball or try a long field goal. Anything can happen. They're like, yeah, fuck it. We're happy to be here. I think you're right. I think they forgot to. They forgot they had a timeout, but that's just ridiculous to me in that scenario to forget you have a timeout. And then I think Packers Niners was about what a lot of us expected. Jordan Love, he didn't play bad.
No,
but that last throw he made, I was a classic young quarterback mistake, trying to throw it back across the middle of the field.
Well, he was just trying to make a play. That was all. He was trying to make a play happen.
No, I agree. But it wasn't
he shows promise. I'm going to be honest. The Packers are going to be hell to deal with. Whether next year or the year after that, it's going to be hell dealing with them. They really did a great job picking another great quarterback.
I agree.
3 quarterbacks back to back, no quarterback questions whatsoever. I think Jordan Love is their guy 4. And will be for a long time.
You could technically say 4 because I don't think there was that big of a gap between Brett Favre and who was before him. Did they have another one who was like really good before Favre, like Bart Starr or somebody? I don't know the gap there, but
I'm not sure.
There's definitely no gap between Favre, Rodgers, and Love. I think they have to be excited about what's moving forward there.
Oh yeah, sure. If you're a Packers fan, you got to be absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah, because I'll be honest. I don't know about you, BJ, but when they were they made it to the playoffs, I was like, wait a minute, they were in the conversation because I didn't even know they were like sniffing around the playoffs. But they squeaked in. They've rallied themselves and squeaked in. So you gotta give a shout out for them. But I digress. I just wanted to get your thoughts on last week before we jump into the plot points, so to speak, of this week. But I guess a few things have happened, right? Coaches have been hired. Coaches have been fired. The big name, as everybody knows, is Jim Harbaugh. But I think there was another name that I don't think a lot of people expected to hear when it came to the Atlanta Falcons, and that was Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator of the Rams, getting the job there. Do you think these are both solid fits for their respective teams?
Jim Harbaugh, yeah.
Okay,
Raheem Morris, I'm going to say I was pretty shocked that they went with him, considering all the other coaching options that are on the table.
Okay.
Right. I get it. They probably didn't want to fire their whole staff for maybe a max 2 years, minimum 2 years from Belichick. I can get that. But did you want to win? It just kind of shows me that you did not want to win enough. Falcons never won a Super Bowl. I think if Belichick goes there, he drafts people that he wants.
Yeah.
They have a
Yeah.
solid team, but they just a big question mark at the quarterback position. I think and the Atlanta Falcons have a pretty good, a pretty good pick. They can trade for a quarterback like Justin Fields, or I don't know, possibly trade up. But I mean, it doesn't matter anymore because we got
So
Raheem Morris, and I mean that's cool, defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. But I'm going to be honest, the Rams really haven't impressed me defensively. They've only been in games because of their high-powered offense with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and Matthew Stafford.
yeah, in this scenario, I think as far as coaching fits go, I think Jim's a slam dunk, right? I think most people can agree that Jim Harbaugh enters the league as in my opinion, a top 10 coach in the NFL right off rip, just from what we know about him in his time previously in the NFL, the talent of roster he has as of right now. Um, I'm trying to look at the Morris signing as two things. One is I don't think a GM in his right mind was going to hire Belichick. I think an owner had to do it because I think if the GM does it, he knows he's hiring a guy that's going to want to replace him. Bill Belichick doesn't like GMs. He wants
The
to have.
Falcons don't have a GM, do they?
Uh, that's a good question.
Because it was all Arthur Blank doing the work.
What
That's all I heard about was Arthur Blank. No, I never heard
That's
anything about
that's
a
a good
GM.
point. I'll have to look that up because it's a good question. Um, I'll just say this: I think they definitely should have went Bill. I do personally. My
If
problem
anything,
with the
dude, what
signing
about
is
Vrabel? I can't ever say this guy's
Mike
name.
Vrabel.
Yeah, why not him?
My problem is if you wanted Raheem Morris, why not him in 2020? He was the interim head coach for this team.
And
In
when he went
2020.
4-7, by the way.
Exactly. So if you didn't want him then, what's changed now? That's the part for me that I don't understand. Okay, he was a head coach with the Bucks, 2009, 2011, and then he was the interim head coach for this team in 2020. And he's floated around the league and been assistant head coaches other different places like the Commanders and things of that nature. But it's like, if you didn't want him then, what's changed? What was him now? I mean, I do know this. Some people are very excited for this hiring. Some people think that they just hired an absolute gold mine. I gotta see it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I get the players like him.
Yeah, but that's not
from what I understand. But okay, players like him. But when he was interim head coach and when he was coach last time, he went 4-7 when he was interim head coach, and they didn't win a fucking game when the other head coach was there. So they only won 4 games that season.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's a good point. And I'll defend him a little bit by saying yes, the roster was way less talented 4 years ago. That's what started them getting these great guys like Kyle Pitts and Drake London. That season's what started doing it. Like, I'll give you that. It's a way more talented roster. Still is a quarterback, but it's a way more talented roster now. But why couldn't he have just been the guy through these last 4 years? If you liked him so much, why couldn't he have just been the guy?
Right.
That's the part that does not make sense to me. That's the part where it's like, okay, this is an Atlanta Falcons team that doesn't know what they want. They think that they fucked up, so they're trying to correct that mistake. But to me, it just says, hey, we kind of like you now, or they didn't want to hire Bill because of what he demands out of a franchise when you hire him. He wants that full reign. And maybe Arthur Blank isn't the one that wants to give up that.
And that's why he's never won a Super Bowl and probably never will.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this place, and like I said, I'm not quite sure.
Whatever you're doing is not working.
It's not working. I agree.
Exactly. Like, let's. I know we're going off topic here.
Nope. Let's do it.
Dallas Cowboys.
I was about to bring them up.
Have not won a Super Bowl in 28 years. There's only one thing that's changed on that or one thing that has not changed on that Cowboys team. Do you know what it is?
What? Give it to me.
Jerry Jones is the only thing that hasn't changed. They've changed quarterbacks. They've changed head coaches multiple times. They've changed offensive, defensive coordinators, and they still cannot get to a goddamn Super Bowl. And that's obviously Jerry Jones's fault. And I think Arthur Blank is running into the same thing. They couldn't win a Super Bowl when Michael Vick was there. They couldn't win a Super Bowl when Deion fucking Sanders was there. They won't fucking win a Super Bowl. And some of these owners can't get past their own fucking way and let these goddamn head coaches do what they need to do to win.
All right, just a little clarification. The Falcons do have a GM. His name is Terry Fontenot. He just got there 2021. Okay.
Okay.
The difference now is apparently he was reporting to the team's CEO, Rick McKay, or whatever his name is. He's now reporting directly to the owner.
I mean, that doesn't make a damn regardless.
No, I'm just saying he used to be the Saints assistant general manager in 2020, and he was there he was director of pro scouting during 2013, 2019.
Besides that one run the Falcons had where they actually went to the Super Bowl and gave up 28-3 lead.
Yeah.
They haven't done shit.
No, I agree.
Have not done shit.
I agree.
Whatsoever.
And I'll say this, go back to your point. If I have to Google, right? If I have to Google if you have a GM or not, that means your owner's too smothering. That's what that means. You know what I mean?
Right. And I was under the assumption they didn't. Adam Schefter never talked about him. Ian Rappaport never talked about the GM. Only talked about Arthur Blank.
Right. Who looks like
and until 3/4 away through the season, I couldn't have told you what the Cowboys head coach name was. No, because Jerry Jones is just in his own way.
Yeah, I agree.
And the only difference between the Cowboys and the Falcons is the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl in the past.
In the 90s. Yeah. I was about to say we're talking about the Cowboys from Wish.com. That's what we're talking about right now. That's what you're describing. The Cowboys at least have the 90s to be like, see, we know what we're doing. We used to be able to do it. Falcons don't even have that.
Falcons couldn't win a game with Todd Gurley. Couldn't win a Super Bowl with Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan, Michael Vick, Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Who else? Let me see. I'm pretty sure I can keep going. Players wise.
Algie Crumpler. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel it. So, ridiculous. Like I said, I'm hoping that it's a good fit for Morris. My mind just goes like Fontenot. You know what I said? Fontenot?
Fontenot, that's right.
Anyway. My mind just goes like, if you didn't want him then, you have to tell me what's changed. Like, tell me what's changed. Is it because you think you have a better roster? That you set him up for failure? You didn't want to set him up for failure? What is it? What is it that makes you want him now? Former Saints guy. Yeah, that's the GM for the Falcons. Yeah, I'm illiterate. We're just gonna say that right now.
But that's the thing is in all this head coaching interviews and shit, we never heard that the GM was involved whatsoever. It was all done by the owner.
Yeah. Now, according to that report that I read to you, they're saying that Morris also is not reporting to the CEO. He'll be reporting directly to Arthur Blank as well. I just think that this is a classic case where the owners are just too involved in what's happening.
And another owner, Tepper, for the Panthers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Having Monday meetings with...
Yeah.
Dude, get out of your own way. You are the owner, not the head coach, not the GM. You're not the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. You pay these guys to win you games. Let them win you games. Get out of your own way.
Welcome.
You're rich. Doesn't mean you're that damn powerful.
Yeah, I'll be honest. 4 coaches got signed, right? 4 head coaches. These 2, I think, are the best 2. The other 2, I think, when it comes to, like, let's see, the Bengals offensive coordinator is now the Titans head coach. And then the other one was the Panthers hired... Who was it? The Bucks? Was it offensive coordinator? Who was it? It was the hired... Shit. I don't know. All I say is I feel like the other 2 hires... Dave, yes, Bucks offensive coordinator. That's what right. All right. I feel like those hirings was just teams trying to find the next Sean McVay. That's what I think these teams are just trying to find. They're trying to find the Sean McVay, Mike McDaniels clone, and they're grasping at straws here. Don't get me wrong, I think the Bengals have a great offense. But can we all agree they also have 3 wide receivers that could start for pretty much any team in football? Like, it's easy to draw up a passing offense when you have 3 amazing wide receivers on your team.
I'll tell you what also doesn't help for Belichick and can't say it.
Vrabel.
Vrabel. Okay,
Yes.
Vrabel. I have so much trouble pronouncing his name for some reason.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Vrabel. Anyway, I think another problem with this is the damn media. ESPN, First Take, Pat McAfee show. All these shows always got to bring up the fact, and I get it. Yeah, they're going to take control, but they're also morally in Belichick's corner. They're talking about how he can't. Can he get it done? Putting a question mark on it because he did all that with Tom Brady. Let me tell you something. Tom Brady's not calling the fucking plays. Tom Brady didn't make the playbook. Tom Brady didn't draft these guys. And, the only iconic players they have or Pro Bowlers or whatever was Tom Brady and a kicker. Or off a quarterback and a kicker. Belichick had. Well, let me tell you something. He had to draft all those other Wes Welker. Well, maybe some of them not drafted, but traded for. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Gronkowski, Tom Brady. He got Randy Moss. Like, this man knows what the fuck he's doing.
No, I agree. I think that the argument where it's like, oh, it was all Brady is a ridiculous argument. When Brady left New England, he still went to a good coaching scheme with Bruce Arians. I mean, Bruce Arians is a good coach. I think it's harder to find a Hall of Fame quarterback than it is to find a good coach. And
they don't give these coaches.
Well, yeah, right. The only time they want to give the coach credit is when
players win,
coaches lose. Is that what you're trying to say?
No. I'm saying they don't give the damn coach enough time. If you're a head coach, I could not be a head coach in the goddamn National Football League. I couldn't be a head coach. I wouldn't want to be a GM. I'd rather be an offense or defensive coordinator. At least when the head coach gets fired, you might still have your job.
Yeah.
They only give them a 1 to 2 years max, and then boom, gone.
Bill got more than that, though. Bill got for like 5 without Brady.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though, is...
Yeah. I get what you're saying,
some of these guys...
They don't get a shot. Like, the Browns...
No, Josh McDaniel didn't even have a whole ass year with the Raiders.
Well, he's a prick. That wasn't a coaching... That's a character issue.
I'm just saying... I'm just saying that they don't give the coaches enough time to build the culture, build the team that they're trying to build to win games. All right, so the Lions owner.
Yeah.
Best example I can give. Gave Dan Campbell the time to build the culture, build the team he wanted, and look, now they're fighting their way to a Super Bowl.
That's what good organizations do. That's why there's a difference between good and bad organizations. Like, you take a look at the Browns. The Browns went on a carousel of 1 year, and no one could have fixed that dumpster fire. The Jets went on a little bit of a thing where they were like, okay, well, who are we going to get after between Rex Ryan and Robert Saleh? It was like, oh, this guy. They didn't give him really any full chances. I'll say this, though, when it comes to teams like the Steelers, as much as, as a Ravens fan, I still have to give respect to the Steelers, the Ravens, New England, the Chiefs. There always been organizations that give their guys a lot of rope. They give their guys a lot of rope.
Passion Fruit in the chat said there's no development in this league anymore. Absolutely, there's no development because they expect these guys to come already developed from college.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And that's not simply how it works. The game is a lot slower in college than it is in the NFL. In college, you might go up against, I'm going to say, well, depending on what part of the conference you're in, you could go up against 3 to 4 NFL, future NFL players in a season. And other ones, maybe 2 or 3. Where once you get to the NFL, it's all NFL caliber. Yeah, everything's a hell of a lot faster. There's no mistakes can be made.
Yeah.
And I agree. There's not enough development. You got to still develop these guys. And that's why Bryce Young is struggling down there in Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that the Carolina signing, I think was just a last-ditch effort to try to fix what they fucked up. Because they gave up a lot to jump to number 1 to get Bryce Young. So they're now stuck tailoring that organization to fixing Bryce Young. And that's the problem with taking a quarterback and trading up to get one, because it's not like you just wasted a pick. You wasted several picks. The Carolina Panthers, even if they had gotten that first pick, they gave up so much, they also gave up another first overall pick. So they gave up, if he doesn't work out, back-to-back first overall picks. They gave him up because if he's a bust, They wasted that one, and this one's going to the Bears.
Yeah.
Sometimes the problem with a lot of these teams, I feel like, BJ, is they draft for need. It's a win now. And I think that goes back to your point that these guys feel like they have to reach for players because they have to win now or they will be fired within a year or two. And I think that goes back to your point. If they knew, I think if Frank Reich knew, hey, I'm going to get 3-4 years to fix this team, maybe we don't reach for Bryce Young at 1. Maybe we just go whoever, and they would have been sitting there ready for
Hear me out.
Caleb Williams if you liked him. You know what I mean?
Hear me out. They could have drafted C.J. Stroud at the Carolina Panthers, and Bryce Young could have went to the Texans, and I guarantee you, the Texans would still went to the playoffs with Bryce Young, and Stroud would have been 2 and whatever the fuck the Carolina Panthers are this year.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think, I think Lovie Smith winning that game saved the Texans from themselves because I guarantee you they wanted Bryce Young. That's all the reports I heard was that the ownership wanted Bryce Young, but he got taken 1, so they went with C.J. Stroud, and I think that was the best thing that could have happened to him. Could have set him up for the next generation. But we are getting way off the rabbit trail for sure. But to back to your point, I think you're making a lot of good points about how I think these coaches rush to these decisions because they know they are on a short leash, shorter than they should, especially for these organizations that have struggled to find consistency. That's But I think Jim, and that's where we're going to transition here, is a good fit for the Chargers. But I guess everybody's wondering, is he going back because he wants to catch his brother John and win a Super Bowl, or is he running? He's running away from his issues in Michigan. What do you think, BJ?
I personally think he's running away from his problems in Michigan because there's new reports coming out that the NCAA still hasn't made their decision in any final punishments for Michigan. So they're going to end up probably getting half of their scholarships taken away. I think each school gets about 100 scholarships. They're going to be cut down to 50. They're probably going to end up eventually having their national championship stripped from them. And some, there's a whole list, a laundry list of shit.
I don't understand, BJ. Okay, and I'm going to say that's bullshit for the NCAA to come in and say, "Oh yeah, we suspended your coach for a few games, but that wasn't it. We don't like that punishment enough."
No, that wasn't. That was the Big. They're in the Big 12, right? Yeah, they're in the Big 12. That was basically the athletic director from the Big 12. There was other issues that happened that got him suspended prior to that.
So that was in no way, shape, or form because of the stealing signs.
I mean, yeah, but that wasn't the official punishment from the NCAA.
Stupid. That's dumb as fuck. So what you're saying is like, if the Ravens did something, if Lamar Jackson did something, the Ravens could come in and be like, hey, we're gonna not even the Ravens because that's not that. If there was a athletic director of the AFC North, he can levy a punishment, and then the NFL come in behind him and levy a punishment, so he get punished twice.
Yeah,
that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Well, you got to think these aren't professional football players, Justin. They're in school.
They're
they have
still
academic
grown
standards.
men, but it has nothing to do with them. It's the coaching staff. It has nothing to do with the players.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, no, the kids should not be punished for it. But I mean, before NIL deals, Pete Carroll shouldn't have paid Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart.
Oh,
I guess we got punished for that.
Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and the rest of the rest of the kids got punished too.
Yeah, future kids. Right. USC.
I agree.
For plenty of years, were stripped down to only like 50 scholarships. They were not bowl eligible for like several years after that. I mean, hell, they basically did the same thing down in Miami when all that shit happened down there at the U. They basically gave them the death penalty. SMU. I think it was around the time Eric Dickerson was there.
Okay, are you talking
about? Same thing.
I appreciate that follow there, Pat.
Death penalty, basically, and I think they actually gave SMU the death penalty. And I agree, it's not fair towards future students, but
it's just it's one of those things. Like if you want to find
setting an example.
You want to find somebody, like you want to find Jim Harbaugh, I'm all for that. Bottom X amount of millions of dollars. I just don't agree with taking it out on these kids who had nothing to do with it. I just think that that's the problem. They think they're hurting the school. The school will be fine. The school's
Mhm.
going to be fine. Michigan's not going to crumble to the ground because they got 50 scholarships taken away. But guess what? 50 people's dreams just died. If that's what they do. That's my point. That's all you're hurting. Hell, you're hurting kids who probably don't even go to school as we speak. You're hurting kids who had no way, shape, or form had anything to do with this because they're not enrolled in school at all. They're just now getting there.
Right.
That shit just bothers me, DJ. It just bothers me. It's like they think they're taking it out on the right people, but inadvertently they're burning everything else around them. That shit, God,
The lay of the land.
I just hate it. I hate it. Now, my question to you is, BJ, do you think Jim knew more about it than we know?
Yeah, no, ain't no way he didn't know about it.
Okay.
Ain't no way.
That's fair.
So you're gonna sit there, all right. So Pete Carroll, you know, I mean, the same thing happened. Pete Carroll ran off to the NFL, and guess what?
Nothing
A couple
happened.
years later, the USC burned to the ground. And I think this is the classic case of fucking Jim Harbaugh doing the same thing.
You would think, though, after the Pete Carroll thing, right? Like, the NCAA or schools in general would have put something in place that protected the school from that happening again. But no.
How so?
Like, like my thing is, Pete Carroll got off scot-free. You know what I mean? Like, the NFL didn't fine him. The NFL didn't suspend him. Yeah, he got the thing stripped away from him, but all those kids, they got the title stripped away from them as well. The only ones you really hear about are Bush and Liner. Really were the top two that everybody said got stripped of anything, but all these other kids got it stripped too. How many times is college football going to let coaches burn their bridge and just skate off, like let the entire school burn down while they skate off the NFL? I don't know, but I'm sure there's something. I'm sure there's something that can be put in place that says, hey, if we're gonna if a coach leaves and something happens, they should be responsible for the X amount of dollars that the school's scholarships are going to lose out on. I guess you would be a little bit more careful about what you do. If I don't have to worry about my house burning down, I don't care if I'm playing with matches. That's all I'm saying. I'll play with matches all the time. If I light something on fire, I can just skip out to go next door. That shit's wrong. It's wrong. And it shouldn't be loud. Ah! You got me all fired up, dude. I don't even watch college football. You got me all fucking fired up.
Well, and that comes with the territory.
Well, we talked about him a little bit, BJ, but I think we all thought. I don't watch college football. We get fired up too. I just say it passionate. It upsets me. It upsets me that it's like we get to do whatever we want.
Kill, I appreciate that. I did hear about Sharon Moore, the offensive coordinator. He stepped in when Jim Harbaugh was suspended for those multiple. I think he was suspended for 3 games on 2 separate occasions.
They won.
I think that's what happened,
right?
Yeah.
Did he win all 3 instead, or they went 2 out of 3?
No, I think they won all 3. They were undefeated this year.
That's what's up. Good for him. So I think he's the right man for the job then.
But here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Is I know we're about to move on, but just real quick.
No, lay it on me.
Sign stealing, right?
Yeah.
I know this was what didn't happen this year. They weren't caught this year. It happened last year and the year before.
Okay.
But you cannot tell me that Connor Stallions, that's the guy in the middle. That's the guy who got caught. He went and took plane trips, paid other people bukus of money to go sit in on college games and tape their hand signals and signals to go to the quarterback.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that they didn't keep some kind of I know they had to turn in like all their computers and shit. You can't confiscate everything. They still had shit. So to me, this national championship they had is tarnished no matter what. And I don't care what Pat McAfee says. I don't care what any of these media, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, any of these guys. I don't care what you say. This shit's tainted. And I can't in my right mind or, think that they did this legitimately.
Okay. I'm going to probably piss you off with this statement.
What?
I don't give a flying fuck that they stole. It's not exact science. I don't give a shit. If you're not smart enough to change your goddamn signs every week, then you're dumb enough to get them fucking stolen. My problem with the whole thing was that they apparently were giving it to other people. That's my problem with it. That's my whole problem with it. You don't get to supply
Okay.
another team just because you want them to beat them so you have a better chance. That's the only problem I have with it.
That doesn't piss me off. I mean, I agree.
Okay.
If you're not smart enough to do that, to change it up, yeah. But who's to think to change up their hand signals when it's against the rules in college to steal signs? It's illegal. You cannot do that in college football. In the NFL, I get it. That's legal. You can do that. You could go steal signs.
That seems
in
like
college,
a stupid thing to me.
Why would you switch it up week to week when it's illegal? You're not supposed to do it.
Yeah, but you can't tell me that even though this guy did all this extra shit, there aren't people standing there on the sideline, like if I'm the quarterback of the other team, like watching across the line, being like, okay, when I see this guy do this, they like to do this. You can't tell me that doesn't happen. Just fucking automatically. You can't tell me that you don't pick up on shit on the sideline of the other team.
It's I mean, yeah, but they're talking about going to like having a coach who's supposed to be at your game or somebody that is part of the coaching staff or GA, graduate assistant, go to another game while you have a game going on and steal signs like that and recording it. If you're at the game and you figure it out, I think that's one thing. But actually videotaping it, documenting it, and studying it 6 weeks before you actually play this other team is the problem, Justin.
I mean, I get that that's the problem because technically it's against the rules. I think it's a stupid ass rule because the college doesn't want to adapt to the millions of dollars of technology that we have, despite making billions of dollars off these kids every year. NCAA's got no problem collecting the check, but they always want to dish out and punish everybody for, I guess you could say, crossing the line years after it happened. I'm sure they made billions of dollars off of fucking Michigan winning all these games, but hey, now that that's over, let's come down and crack it down. That's the problem I have with NCAA, NFL, all of them. They're fine collecting the check, but then they got to come out and be like, oh, okay, well, looks like the road's coming to a close for Jim Harbaugh. Let's hit Michigan with this thing right here.
Moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get away from college and talk about Jim Harbaugh. He's running from his problems, and I stand by that. I'll die on that hill. He's not chasing a Super Bowl. He could tell you all the lies he wants to, but that man's running from the problems that are about to come down upon the University of Michigan.
Yeah, well, obviously, from what you're saying, they're going to go scorched earth, so I don't even know if I can blame them.
I mean, it's still up to debate. There's still investigation going on, ruling and all that bullshit, so we won't know until ain't no telling when they might drop that. So, or if they will. It's just a big question mark.
Well, speaking of news being dropped, I think a lot of us were surprised by the Morris signing, no more so than those of us who thought Bill was going to go there. However, from what I'm hearing, no one's interested. His phone's not ringing. Is there? We're going to have a season with no Bill Belichick at the helm of a coaching staff, or do you think someone wises up?
I think that no, it's going to come down to Belichick's either not coaching in the NFL this year, or he might go back to the college level.
Okay. Well, I'll say
this. Here's the thing. And you know why I think he would flourish in college level?
Why?
Right now, at 72 years old? Because the head coach in college is end-all, be-all. Final word.
Yeah.
And they're paying players. Belichick would dominate college football right now.
Getting a bag for sure. I don't think he's going to college, personally. I know we talked about this, and I don't think it's going to happen. But I did read the report again. ESPN talked about that the Chiefs are sitting there saying that if Andy Reid decides to retire, they will hire Bill. They've come out and said that. I don't think Andy Reid.
Oh, Chiefs? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Andy Reid's retired. No shot.
Not anytime soon. The dude's 10 years younger than Bill. He's not retiring anytime soon.
But they did say that if they did came out and say that if he does, that's what they're going to sign. Only other job that's, to my knowledge, open at this point is Washington.
What about Seattle?
I don't think Seattle. Seattle is open, but I don't think he's going there because of Pete Carroll. I just don't see it. I don't see him and going there butting heads together.
Hand says I would buy a hooker and chill if I was Bill. Yeah, I mean, he deserves it. I mean, but he's only 15 games away
I
from
think that's what he wants to
winning
pass.
the
Yeah.
most all-time winningest coach in the NFL.
He can do it with Washington. I think so. They have a solid little defense. You definitely need to bring in somebody. I'm surprised that the Commanders haven't just been like, because I think the whole reason Aaron Bieniemy left because he wanted to get out from underneath Andy Reid's shadow in Kansas City. He becomes the offensive coordinator slash assistant head coach there. There's a reason that they haven't announced it yet. That's all I'm saying. If they were going to go Bieniemy, I feel like they would have gone Bieniemy. Washington's always been a little slow, dragging their feet when it comes to these kind of decisions. So maybe that's a place you could see him going. I think it's smart for him to go to the NFC. I think it's way less competitive over there. He could easily win 15 games in 2 seasons in that division. Yeah, Ben is going Commanders. You think?
Yeah, Ben.
Ben?
I think he's going Commanders too. Yeah.
Who? Ben? Who?
Ben. Oh fuck. Hold
Or
on.
does he mean Bill?
No, Ben.
Who's Ben?
I've heard the. I can't. I have to look it up, but I know they were talking about.
Oh, Ben Johnson
Yeah, Ben Johnson.
for the
And hell, they won't know that until the season's
Lions.
basically over.
Dude. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm just saying. I think some team's going to miss out on a really good coach, and I just hope that he. I think he'll if he takes a year off, he'll come back next year. This isn't the end for Bill Belichick. I can tell you.
No,
that
it's
right
not. No,
he is too determined.
no chance.
Some team is going to hire one of these young guys, and all of a sudden, the shit's just going to fall out from underneath them, and they'll be like, maybe we should have went with the old seasoned vet. Maybe we should have went with this guy.
Wouldn't that be funny if he got the year off and then came back and won a Super Bowl?
Dude, I think it'd be amazing. That's why. I mean, honestly, that's why I thought he'd been perfect for the Atlanta job. I think all that team really needs is a quarterback and a solid head on their shoulders, and he can get them both. Whether it be Kirk Cousins coming there through free agency, or they trade that first round pick, which is what 9th, 10th overall, or 8th, to Chicago for Justin Fields. I think they could have done either one of those things and been fine. Been fine.
Well, you know they're not going to do it because everybody's expecting them to do that.
Yeah, they're like, dude, everybody's saying we should do this, and then he goes, "That's exactly why we're not." That's an Arthur Blank moment right there.
Arthur Smith.
Arthur Blank. I thought the owner. You talking about the coach? Gotcha.
Yeah, because he doesn't do anything you'd expect him to do, like run the damn ball with Bijan Robinson.
Honestly, I thought that's why Vrabel would have been a good fit there too, because he likes to run the football. But they went with Morris. Apparently, some people think that that's the absolute steal. That they've got an absolute banger of a coach. I've got to see it. I've got to see it.
I digress.
But yeah, I think Bill sits out this year, and some of these guys, hear me out. Chicago. That's all I'm saying. I think he's the head coach of Chicago, not next year, year after.
Now, speaking about, it's been heated, the conversations we've had about coaching. Yeah. Now, there's another heated discussion that happened this week. Pat McAfee defending Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Purdy or Turdy?
I'll tell you what. I'll just say, I kind of just say this, BJ. I think I'm a big McAfee guy. I feel like his takes are getting worse and worse. I feel like his takes are getting worse and worse.
I don't know if it's that. It's just, I don't know. We could talk about Pat McAfee another day. Goes to Dallas after next year. Classic Jerry. Okay, yeah. He's talking about Bill. He ain't talking about Bill going to Dallas after next year.
Let me just say this. I like Brock Purdy. I do. But the people that put him on this fucking pedestal where it's like, dude, he's amazing. No, he's not. He's just like every other quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has had in this offense. He's surrounded by amazing talent that drags him across the finish line. That's just my opinion. I don't think Purdy is that amazing. I think he is. I think he's good. I think he's a solid quarterback.
Look, he's just an average.
I'm sorry.
He's an average quarterback. Let me list off some stats here. His all-time collegiate stats.
I like that one. I like that passion. I thought Dennis Allen should have been fired.
Let me make my case, and you make your decision, chat and Justin.
All right, baby.
In college, Brock Purdy, from his freshman to senior year, had 1,467 passing attempts.
Okay.
He only completed 993 of those. His percentage, while above 50%, is still only 67.7. He threw for 12,000 yards, averaging about 8 yards a throw,
Okay.
81 touchdowns for 33 interceptions. Now,
Okay.
and there's a reason why he was playing for Iowa State. If you look at Lamar Jackson, or if you look at Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel, hell, Cam Newton, Tim Tebow, you compare their careers to Brock Purdy's, his looks average. Average college quarterback. Jaden Daniels, 1 year with LSU, absolutely fucking killed it. Now, Brock Purdy has so much talent around him, it's hard for him to fail. And I'll use an example of that as Jake Browning coming in after Burrow got hurt. Absolutely killed it because he has the talent around him. He has Jamar Chase, Boykin, Boyd, Joe Mixon.
Higgins.
And here's just some of the players for this San Francisco 49ers team. It would be hell for Brock Purdy to fail having the best left tackle in all of college football or all of the NFL.
Okay, Trent Williams.
The best running back, all pro this year, and so was the left tackle.
Yep.
McCaffrey.
Yep.
The best fullback in the league went all pro this year. Juice.
Yep.
Deebo Samuel, top 15 receiver in the league. All pro this year.
Probably would have been higher if he didn't have those 2 games where he got hurt. I agree.
Brandon Ayuk, top 10 receiver in the league this year. All pro.
Solid. Yep.
And the best tight end in the league.
George Kittle.
All pro, George Kittle.
As well as being backed up by top 5 defense in the league.
Right. And top 3 defensive end in the league. Bosa.
Yeah.
All pro this year. The guy that they traded for.
Chase Young.
Clay. Or Chase Young, yep.
Yep.
And Fred Warner.
Yep.
And they had all pro cornerback, all pro linebackers. So don't sit there and tell me this man is elite, an elite quarterback. And yeah, it is impressive what he's done in 2 years. But the man has absolutely been skulled, drugged, carried, and fucked all the way into this.
To the finish line. Yeah.
Yeah, to the finish line.
I agree.
And here is what happened when he ran into the best 2 defenses in the league this year.
Who are?
I have some more stats. Who are the Cleveland Browns, who beat them.
Okay.
And the Baltimore Ravens, who beat them.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, the Cleveland Browns also only beat them by a point or 2. The Ravens,
however,
100% skull fucked and dragged their asses across the field for an hour.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy against the Ravens threw 32 passes, 18 completions, 255 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. So don't sit there and tell me this man is amazing. He's amazing when he's facing average defenses because all he has to do is not fuck up. That's all he has to do. And I made my case. I'll end there. I want you to make the decision on how Brock Purdy has done so well in the past 2 years.
Well, I think it's very simple. It's the Kyle Shanahan effect. He builds a team, and while every other team in the league has tried to find the quarterback and then add pieces through the draft and free agency to sprinkle around their young quarterback, Kyle Shanahan has done the exact opposite. He has surrounded the entire offense with top 10 at pretty much every position around him and said, anybody who just doesn't turn the ball over will have success in this team. And that's exactly what it is. There's a reason they're near the top of the league in yards after the catch. It's because I like Purdy. But they're just saying, hey, buddy, we just need you to not turn the ball over. Just throw it short. Throw it to this guy. I think Kyle Shanahan deserves an award for best, GM as a head coach. He deserves it, the way he's constructed this team. But I don't believe that Purdy is the end all be all, and I guarantee you, when this team has to pay him, they don't. They are going to teams are going to overvalue Brock Purdy based on what he's done, which is don't turn the ball over. It's the same thing Jimmy Garoppolo did. Look how that ended in Oakland or Vegas.
Look, all I'm saying is I'd rather have Josh Allen, who behind Lamar Jackson would be my next contender for the MVP this year, who turns the ball over almost every game, but has not in the playoffs. He's perfect in the playoffs.
He's played great last year. He played great in those 2 games, for sure.
No, every year he's been in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, he's played.
He has not thrown an interception. He throws interceptions all year, finds ways to win. All right. And I don't want. I'm sorry. It sounds like I'm just bashing on Brock Purdy, but I'm tired of everyone trying to make this man out to be the Jesus of walking
Jesus in
the
cleats.
fucking football field.
Yeah.
And Hans says he's good with the ball turnover wise like Alex. He's just he's average like Alex Smith. And like you said, Jimmy Garoppolo did great.
Teddy
for the
Bridgewater,
49ers.
Alex Smith, those are the guys I compare him to.
Jimmy Garoppolo
like that comparison.
Lost his job halfway through at the Raiders, halfway through the season. He's a system quarterback, and that's the end of it.
I agree. And I think to Passion's point, you're only able to build a team like that is because he's getting paid like he's the last pick in the draft. If you have a regular quarterback salary, you're not putting all that talent around him because you couldn't afford to. Like I said, I think this is great for anybody who's not a San Francisco fan. They're going to keep building this kid, and then he's going to go somewhere and get paid, and it's going to be just like a long list of quarterbacks who people thought were really good, but ended up being the system, and he's going to go somewhere, destroy that franchise because of how much they're going to pay him, and he's going to flame out, and that's what I think is going to happen.
And let me tell you this.
Yeah, lay it on me.
When the 49ers lost to the Baltimore Ravens,
yes,
there were no injuries.
Oh, I knew
Brock
that.
Purdy played.
Yep, I knew
McCaffrey
that.
played. Deebo Samuel played. George Kittle played, and Ayuk.
I agree. Yep. I'll just say this. One last thing before we move on.
Yeah.
There's 2 people. There's 2 types of people that you talk to when it comes to the MVP race. There's the people who just look at box scores, and by looking at box scores, they think Brock Purdy deserves to have his name mentioned. And there's people who watch the games and realize the amazing things that Lamar Jackson can do on a football field, and they're the people that think he should win the MVP. These are the 2 people that are fighting right now. People who just look at box scores, look at Purdy and look at Dak Prescott, and they say, well, how can these 2 guys not be ahead of this guy? That's because we watch the games. Brock Purdy does nothing during these games that you're like, damn, he's good. No one does that. No one.
Hans says he looks at girlfriends/wives.
I respect
That's who deserves the MVP.
That shows confidence. Guy has a hot girlfriend. He's got confidence. I like that. All right, well, continue on to that one. We have 2 games this weekend there, BJ.
Yes, sir.
To carry over from the Brock Purdy conversation. NFC Championship game. Jared Goff, Purdy, Lions defense, San Francisco's defense. I know who we're all rooting for, but do you think they can win?
Well, I will not be rooting for anyone since I'm calling this game.
Okay. That's right.
I will remain neutral.
One. Who do you think will win this game?
Nice segue.
Thank you.
Oh,
I was going to throw an awkward transition in there, but
my dumbass thought he was talking about the little scooter things.
Oh, that is also a segue. Yeah, good point.
But
yeah,
this game coming into this game, it's going to be a big one.
I agree.
Both teams have elite players on it. I think I'm going to give the edge to the Lions, though. They've just been hotter.
Okay.
49ers came out looking rusty in a game against the Packers. And says Packers by 1,000.
You mean Lions by 1,000, but yes.
No, Lions, yeah, Lions by 1,000. Sorry. I don't want to say Packers. My bad. But yeah, no, 49ers, Lions. I think the Lions have the edge. They've just been hotter. They've been playing every game, every way into the playoffs, every step of the way. They're finding out what works. I think they just have the grit and they just want it more. They want it more for themselves and want it more for the city. Now, for a team that needs to win the Super Bowl, I would say that would be the 49ers. Needs to win. And the fact that the only team ahead of them in not winning a Super Bowl is the Cowboys.
Yikes.
They are the second longest drought in NFL. The last time they won a Super Bowl, Jerry Rice was catching passes.
But wait a minute. But you're not including like teams that have never won it, because then the Lions.
Yeah,
would
I said
be-
drought, Super Bowl droughts.
Gotcha. So you had to win it first, and then okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Right. And
Yeah.
the last time they won a Super Bowl, Jerry Rice was still playing. What are your thoughts on this? What do you like going in?
I want the Lions to win this game. I do. I really do. I think the Lions have this just like insatiable desire to get there for way different reasons. I think San Francisco has to get there because their window is closing before all these people come looking for their money. And when that happens, this team falls apart. The Lions won it because, God, they have been denied it for so damn long.
Mm.
That's why they won it. They won it for a better reason. Do I think that translates on the field? I hope it does. And you notice I'm using words like hope, because I really hope it does. I think if the Lions can come out here and they dominate the ground like I know they can, they've got a real shot. They do. They've got a real shot. But I think they both had kind of a cakewalk to get here, in all honesty. I think the best team either one of these two teams faced was the Rams. I think the Rams were a better team than than the Packers on paper. Despite the Packers were playing great, the Rams were a better team.
The best team that these two teams have played is the Ravens.
In the playoffs. I meant in the playoffs.
Oh, okay. In the playoffs? Okay.
Yeah. Well, both of them got smacked in the mouth by the Ravens. But in the playoffs, the Packers, I feel like the magic for that Dallas game was kind of gone. You know, they still should have kind of won that game against San Francisco. They played good. San Francisco didn't play that great. And the Lions, I can't sit here and say, oh my goodness, the Bucs were a hell of a challenge. I'm not going to sit here and say that. It was a solid team, but they're not amazing. With that being said, I think the Lions have looked like themselves all season, with the exception of that Ravens game. While the Niners have had some issues with a little bit of roller coaster action that was, capitalized, like it reached its boiling point at the Ravens game. But I do feel like the Lions are just a very consistent team. They're not flashy by any means. They are not flashy. They play old school football, and you got to love that about them. The key to this game is going to be, can the Lions dictate the pace? Because if they can't, then San Francisco's wide receiving core is going to have a field day with their secondary.
Well, switching things up, going back to the Lions offense, they just recently this week picked up a tight end
Mr.
who's
Ertz.
now on their practice squad. Yep, Zach Ertz. Solid pickup, and I would imagine he's going to get elevated eventually. Right. And I think that's just going to make them a lot better. And they did interviews with Jared Goff talking about how they have all these elite players for the San Francisco 49ers.
I saw that interview.
And I don't think that's fair for the Lions. I mean, they don't have guys who are concrete.
Faces of the league. They don't have guys that are faces of the league, but they're still really good. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't sit there and tell me Amon-Ra St. Brown's not elite at his job.
He's phenomenal.
Sam Laporta, for a rookie, is elite at his job.
I agree.
Jamar Gibbs, elite rookie.
He's good.
David Montgomery,
solid. Yep.
Solid, tough, gets the hard yards running back.
Yep.
Jared Goff,
solid.
The offensive line is elite. The Lions has the best offensive line left in the playoffs, might I add. Solid offensive line.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And you can't forget about Aiden Hutchinson.
Right.
Aiden Hutchinson makes that defense.
I think what people are trying to say, though, and I agree with you, I think it's kind of a bullshit line of questioning that they threw at Jared Goff. They all have good players, but their counterpart, with the exception of quarterback, I think every single one of those positions you just mentioned, with the exception of quarterback and maybe St. Brown, the San Francisco have the counterpart, if not just a little bit step higher. I think that's the problem that everybody's trying to make. I don't think it's right. I think the Lions have a great group, a close knit group. But you look at running back, Gibbs, phenomenal. But McCaffrey's a little bit better. Right? You look
I think
at
the only edge that the 49ers have over the Lions is their receiving core.
as
I don't
a whole
think,
unit, yes. And their secondary, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. The Lions
I mean, all right. To be fair, the Lions defense had 2 picks last week, and they were the only ones that had picks in the playoffs last week. Two interceptions.
Hey, anybody can play great any given Sunday. You're right. Doesn't mean that they're better on paper. I mean, right now we're playing the game on paper until the game gets played in the field. So that's why people say the secondary for San Francisco is better. However, the pass rush of any team can make a secondary look great. So if the Lions pass rush shows up, they've got a shot, because that's what it comes down to. I mean, when the Ravens faced Purdy, he wasn't throwing deep balls to the wide receivers got picked off. A lot of the picks were like in the box because the Ravens got after him. They forced him to just get rid of the ball, and bad shit happens when you just panic and get rid of the ball. So the Lions want a shot at this game. They have got to get after Brock Purdy with Hutchinson and that front four.
I definitely would not put Hutchinson over Trent Williams.
Oh yeah, no. But that's the thing about offensive lines, right? Guess what position Trent Williams plays? Left tackle.
Yep.
Guess where Hayden Hutchinson can line up? Any goddamn place he wants to.
Yep.
That's the difference. They have the Lions don't have the faces of the NFL, but they have good people that are unsung heroes all across that roster.
And the main person we're forgetting, Haynes also brings up a good point. The equipment manager is elite for the Lions as well.
Good. Someone needs to tell the NFL that, because I think it changes the point spread. This game just became a 2-point spread.
Also, I don't think home field advantage is going to be as big in this game as you might think. Last week, the Packers had 2 to 3% of their fan base at that game, and it is projected as of right now the Lions will have about 23 to 24% of their fan base at that game on Sunday.
Yeah, that's good. Only thing I ever get worried about, I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie to you. I get nervous anytime a dome quarterback goes outside, and Jared Goff's played in a dome a lot in his career, so he can handle it though. I think he's a better quarterback, but he also, in the games we've covered with them, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He is the kind of guy who needs the running game. He is as far as quarterbacks in the playoffs goes, he's top 3 in my opinion of guys who, off of play action, he's one of those top guys. And that includes all the teams that made the playoffs. That includes the Eagles, all of them. I think he's top 3 when it comes to off of play action. But he needs the running game to be effective off of play action. But they've
got the running game, though. That's what
I'm saying. And if that running game can get going and they don't let San Francisco stifle it, they've
got a different tempo. They got tempo changers. Jahmyr Gibbs, super quick, elusive. David Montgomery, hard-nosed running back straight up the middle.
San Francisco also has some tempo shutter downers, though, if we're being honest.
So, yeah, I mean...
But I like it. I like their chances. I do. We'll see.
I think it's safe to say all of America wants the Lions to win Sunday. Yeah, except for 49er fans.
Right. Except for Niner fans. But, just a side note, you will be doing that game on your show.
Yeah. I will.
That game starts, 6 o'clock Eastern?
That's a damn good question.
6:30 Eastern. 6 o'clock Eastern. That's what it starts. So it'd be 5 o'clock your time?
Yeah, I think so.
For those of you who don't know, we like to do sidecasts of the game. Unfortunately, we can't show the game, and I'll let BJ explain that a little bit more when we get into it. 6:30. I was just told by chat, by Passion. We do play-by-play in correspondence with the game. We have a Discord set up. which I definitely need to post the link in the chat. I cannot get that damn command to work at all. So I'll have to get that and post in the chat here in a second. But we like to do play by play for the game instead of listening to those tired old assholes like Romo, Collinsworth, Al Michaels, Troy Aikman. Listen to those clowns gives me a goddamn headache. So instead, we have started doing sidecast where we do the play by play in correspondence with the game. A little Mahomey. Yeah. So you'll be doing that game on the Griddle Show. That's his channel. I'll be doing the AFC Championship on mine here at Ruffled Feathers, and my plan is to take the show and we'll raid over to him when it's time for the game. That way, there's a seamless transition for everybody who's here for the first game can go right into the second game. Let me get this, and then right here I'm posting in the Discord, posting it right here in the chat. That is the Discord right there. If you're interested,
right, and that's if you want to join our Discord. We have a co-community Discord. We do stream the game live in the Discord. You can watch it with us. The game will be muted in Discord, and we'll be talking over it as your commentators. So there'll be no delay. We still will be streaming it live on Twitch. Obviously, we can't show the game on Twitch though. That's the only problem with that is we would get banned really fast.
Yeah, like within, I think I watched it one time. Dude got banned in like 15 minutes, which was crazy. But all right, let's move on to the AFC Championship. And I think just like the Lions, a lot of people rooting for the Lions. I think a lot of people are rooting for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think people are tired of seeing Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I think people are tired of seeing Kansas City there. And if there is a team I think that can do it, I think the Ravens can get it done. I really do. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think the only team that can beat the Ravens is the Ravens.
Yeah, and I've said that multiple times all year.
What you wanna talk about, Meme Dundee?
Good.
Yeah. Sorry, we had somebody hop in the chat. I was just saying something to him. But yeah, I think when it comes to the Ravens, I think they are without a doubt one of the complete rosters in football. They get Mark Andrews back. He is playing in this game. I'm looking forward to that as well. No word yet on Marlon Humphreys, but I think you've made a solid point. I think they kind of play better when he's not out there. He's getting older. He's still a solid corner, but
look, the only problem I have with Marlon Humphrey is he's just not. He's like a great value version of Deion Sanders, right? He doesn't seem like he likes to get physical. He doesn't want to hit somebody, wrap somebody up. He's always trying to shoulder tackle. And I think y'all honestly looked way better when he wasn't playing. But I'm sure he will play if he's healthy.
Yeah,
and I get that. He is your number one.
He's had 2 limited practices, so who knows? I mean, he hasn't fully participated in practice yet, so I don't know. We'll see.
Now I'll tell you who is elite is Kyle Hamilton, and I think that man will be a game changer. Game changer.
Yeah. I mean, he's a solid. He is a safety technically, but the way they use him, they put him all over the field. He's talented. Guy at Notre Dame that people weren't sure if he was going to be too slow to play safety, too fast to play linebacker. He's going to be too skinny to play linebacker. I'll be honest, this guy, he's not one thing. You know what I mean? He's not just a safety. He's not just a cover guy. He's not just a guy in the box. They move him around. They bring him off the edge. They do a great job with not only putting Kyle Hamilton in positions where he can do the most damage. He seems to come up with play after play. He has a great football IQ, and he's huge for this team. A team that's anchored by Roquan Smith, who's another guy who makes everyone around. I think that's what has helped the Ravens so much this year is they have so many guys that just make everyone else around them really good.
Hands makes a great point here. He says, "Remember when we used to love the Chiefs? Good times."
Well,
and that was before it was all forced down our throat with the commercials. It was really just the commercials showing Taylor Swift every 5 seconds. I have no problem with Taylor Swift, but
I do.
Every 5 seconds, or it's not even every 5 seconds, but show her once, maybe twice, and leave it at that. You don't have to show her every time Travis scores or anytime Chiefs score.
Yeah.
And I think it's really just the person who kills it for me the most is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, all his commercials,
It's everywhere.
uh, his
It's
little
force
hissy
fed to
fits
us.
he was having earlier in the season with drop passes and the refs. I say this with air quotation, screwing them.
Screwing them, yeah.
Yeah,
How
and I
dare you
think
call that offsides? That was
most
offsides.
most of America wants the Ravens to win, and it's really, I mean, besides Chiefs fans, and it's just because, I mean, I think it has to do mainly with commercials. There's way too many commercials. There's probably like I would say 25 Kansas City Chiefs commercials, even when they're not playing.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce. I mean, I love Travis Kelce. I think he's hilarious. I love his podcast. I listen to it every week. But it's just a lot. It's a lot force fed. The only one I don't mind watching anymore is the one with Andy Reid when he's like, "Now do it again, but this time with the chicken
Yeah,
nuggies."
yeah, that was a solid
Love
one.
Andy
But
Reid.
I agree. I just think like it's people are just tired of the same old, and the Chiefs are the same old, same old. You know what I mean? I think people want to see somebody new, and the Ravens are giving them that option. The Ravens are giving them a chance to see somebody new. I think Lamar Jackson is exciting. Whether you like him as a quarterback or not, you can't deny the kid is exciting to watch. He's one of the most electrifying players in all of football, and I think he's got something to prove. He's gotten his money, and he made a promise a long time ago when he got drafted. And he said, "What are the Ravens going to get? They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me." And he's still trying to live up to that promise. Passion Fruit
They're
says
gonna
the football fan in me is like, I want Mahomes to keep dominating, amazing player, but with everything outside, it makes me hate him so much. And would love to see Lamar win a Super Bowl to shut everyone up. I agree with that too. I agree with that too.
Yeah, and Hans says, "How could you not like Lamar as long as he doesn't cry like Kermit the Frog?"
Yeah,
and that's agreed. I mean, they talked about what Lamar Jackson may have or may not have said to his team at halftime during their last game against the Texans, and he was like, "Well, I can't tell you what I told them because that would be extremely inappropriate right now." But you can just tell his teammates love him.
right.
The Baltimore area loves him. Anybody who's a Ravens fan loves Lamar Jackson. He's a leader, but he's like not like a leader like Tom Brady, where he's getting after everybody's ass. He's just a good old fashioned Southern boy from South Florida.
Yeah, I think like that. Feel like that what you just said kind of separates Lamar from Mahomes for me. Is that you have Mahomes this season screaming and yelling on the sideline because things aren't going his way. Lamar Jackson says, "Hey, I know we're not doing, but we could talk about it in the locker room." That's where you do it. You don't berate your teammates on the sideline. You say, "Hey, let's go into halftime. Let's figure this out. Let's go. This is where we talk. The whole world doesn't need to know what's going on behind closed doors. Let's keep that between us. All they need to know is what's happening on the field." And I think that right there, this season, that's where I lost the rest of my respect for Patrick Mahomes. The person.
Now, what I think the Chiefs still have a shot at this.
Of course.
Because, I mean, and it's not much of one, but I love Isaiah Pacheco. I love how hard he runs. I love his personality, who he is as a person, how tough he is playing when he's, he's questionable right now, but there's no question that he's going to be playing Sunday.
He can go. I'll tell you what, I haven't heard a whole lot of jawing from the Ravens players this week, but I have heard some jawing from some Chiefs players. I've heard some trash talked by some Chiefs guys. Chris Jones came out. Yeah, dude, saying all we gotta do is get him a throw, we win the game. Talking about Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The last time you played him was 2001, buddy. He is not the same guy that you played in 2001. I'm gonna tell you
get him
right
to throw to who? Odell Beckham Jr. or Zay Flowers?
Right.
Or to one of the running backs?
What are we talking about? Back?
Are we going to act like this receiving core? I mean, it's not the best in the National Football League, but damn. Yeah. It's still OBJ. OBJ's making plays.
Group. Right. And then getting Mark Andrews back, I think, is right. You get Mark Andrews back, as well as you now get a guy that I think everyone knows can be a talented tight end in this league, and Isaiah Likely, too. You get both of those guys on the field at the same time now. That does nothing but add to this group.
On top of picking up a decent running back to add to their already packed roster.
And Dalvin Cook looked good. He looked good. The first few carries he got, he looked real good. And then they started everybody knew we were going to run, so he started.
The Ravens didn't play the Chiefs this year, did they?
No, they haven't played the Chiefs since 2001. We beat them by 1 point. It was here. Before then, that was the big thing. It was kind of like that whole narrative of Lamar can't get past the Chiefs until he did it in 2021, and then he beat them. But like I said, Lamar, as a guy who watches them year in year out, he's not the same guy from 2021.
Right,
He
and I'm
looks
surprised
great.
we haven't talked about this player yet, and he is the heart and soul of the Baltimore Ravens defense, the reincarnation of Ray Lewis himself,
I said Roquan, but
Roquan
yeah,
Smith.
he's an absolute animal.
Roquan Smith is an absolute animal, and he's going to give Patrick Mahomes hell on Sunday,
Yeah,
and
I
I can
mean,
guarantee you that much.
I think it's a
He's got
classic
that dog in him.
case. Yeah, I think it's a classic case. You watch Roquan Smith, it kind of reminds you of old school football. He doesn't hit. He doesn't tackle people. He hits motherfuckers. He
Oh, and
hits them.
Matabuke.
Justin Matabuke, dude, he's fighting for a contract. He's a guy he's chomping at the bit to get paid. He's playing phenomenal. The rejuvenation of Jadeveon Clowney on this team has
Absolutely,
been
yep.
phenomenal. Patrick
Big number
Queen,
58.
yeah, Patrick Queen, another one who is fighting for a contract. He wants to get paid. This team is full of guys who play as one unit.
Mhm.
They play as one unit.
And that's why
Everyone,
the Ravens have the best defense in the National Football League.
correct. I agree.
And I was lucky enough to have them all year on my fantasy team. Always putting up points.
And I think that's what I think this is the difference. I mean, look what Mahomes has faced in the playoffs, right? He has faced a damaged Miami Dolphins defense who is just gutted by injuries, and the Bills defense gutted by injuries. He hasn't played a solid defense his entire time, and people want to just suck his cock. This is a defense that has done something that has never been done. They won the defensive triple crown: sacks, points per game, takeaways. They've led all three first. That's never been done in the history of football, and they've done it against many winning teams this year. They have the most winning. They have the most wins in a season against winning teams. They have the most. That's never been done before. This team is ready. And like I said, the only team that is beating the Baltimore Ravens are the Ravens themselves. They come out and play this game, they're going to win this one. And we'll be right here to cover it on Ruffle Feather Sports, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And says, do you think Dalvin Cook will be tired from playing 2 games last week?
No. I know that you think it's like a Hannah Montana situation. They're not the same person.
Have you seen them in the same room at the same time?
I have. I looked up a picture earlier. I was like, okay, these two are right next to each other.
And he also says, do you think Justin is a closet Ravens fan?
Hell yeah. Closeted, dude. Keyword. Keyword, closeted.
He said you're AI. Oh, no, said that picture's
the
AI.
picture's AI.
Yeah.
What are we, Pal World? No, I'm just kidding. All right. I'll say this. I think it's going to be a great game either way. I don't know. I'm nervous for the game because I'm always nervous for the game.
And that's, I mean, I'm nervous anytime the Georgia Bulldogs play anybody, so I can, you know.
Even games that you really think they're going to win, right? You're still like, man, could we just come out and do what we know we can do? DeMar Hamlin said he doesn't know how he could win Comeback Player of the Year, and I couldn't agree more. He said give it to Flacco. I mean, Flacco is up there for me. I still think it should go to Baker, personally, but I can, if it goes to Flacco, I'm not going to be mad about it.
No. Absolutely not.
If the Chiefs win, Justin's going to break his goddamn computer, so you won't be able to see me do the tomahawk chop. Shit'll be shattered. DeMar Hamlin should win Comeback Player of the Year, but I've already gone off on that one. You ready to do our awards, BJ?
Yeah, we can do our weekly awards. Yeah.
All right, you want to go first? You want to drop some golden griddle knowledge on these people?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Golden Griddle. Here at the Golden Griddle, we give out an offensive and defensive award each week. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with the defense. Now, I know we just got done shitting all over them, but they played a absolutely outstanding game last week in the playoffs. Second to only one, the Ravens defense. I'm going to give it to the Lions total defense.
Ooh, okay.
Defensive line, defensive tackles, defensive ends, linebackers, safeties, cornerbacks, defensive coach.
They played great.
They had 54 combined total tackles, 4 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions helping them win the game, obviously.
For sure.
I think they're deserving. Aiden Hutchinson leading that defense. My offensive player of the week,
Give it to me.
I got to give it to my boy Lamar Jackson. I haven't given him one yet this year, but Lamar Jackson's going to be my offensive player of the week. Had 22 passes, completed 16 of them, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 11 carries. Yeah. And then 11 carries for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground.
Phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal.
He looked at his element. He looked at ease. He was able to do whatever he wanted to in that field. Good picks. Good picks. I agree with you. The Lions defense was phenomenal. They stepped up. We talked about a little passions kind of brought up. If they were to win this Sunday, they need their secondary to show up. If their secondary played the way it played last week, I think they've got a real shot. Like, that's the type of energy they need to bring. They got to find ways to get to Brock Purdy. They got to find ways to make him speed up his clock, and that secondary's got to strike. And that starts with the front seven. That's exactly what they did against Tampa Bay. For me, BJ, mine's going to be a negative award. Frenzy Feather Award is going to be like the Toilet Bowl Award this year. I'm giving it to the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
The Chicago Bears have seemingly just given up on Justin Fields. It seems like they're going to go the direction of Caleb Williams, which I think is a huge mistake. I think the kid's got bust written all over him. I think he's a smooth, cocky little fuck.
Oh, it's a huge W. Huge W for Justin Fields. Goes to
it's great
a group
for him.
that actually want him.
Yeah, it's great for him. But for the Bears, they're just going to keep doing this self-harming bullshit where they're chasing the next shiny thing and the next shiny thing and the next shiny thing. They should have gotten rid of their head coach. They could have probably drawn a lot of interest around the league for that head coaching job with the first overall pick. They could trade it. They could do all kinds of things. They could have set themselves up for another generation if they got anything close to what they got last year for their first overall pick. They're making a huge mistake. I'm calling it now. Caleb Williams is going to be a bust in the NFL. It's not a talent thing for me as much as it is a personality thing with me. There's too much noise surrounding this kid in a negative, spoiled manner that I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't fuck him with your dick, BJ, to put it quite frankly. So, for me, I'm giving the Frenzy Feather Awards a -1 this week. I'm giving it to the Bears, who are seemingly all in on the Caleb Williams hype train, when I think they could easily just take Marvin Harrison Jr. at that pick, come back, draft a solid defensive or offensive lineman with number 9, and set themselves up for a solid 5-10 years if they just sign Justin Fields. So there we go. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it, BJ. So is Lisi.
I think that's a solid pick. I respect it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of the program.
I'll tell you what, just a reminder, everybody. Starting 3 p.m. over here on this channel, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be doing the Ravens-Chiefs game. If you haven't already, that Discord link is pinned to the chat at the top. If you want to be a part of the Discord, if you want to watch the game with us in the Discord channel, you won't be able to talk. It's muted just because, we record these games. We try to make clips, things of that nature. We can't just have the noise in the background and such. But I'm looking forward to doing that game. And then as soon as that one's over and BJ's ready, we're going to raid on over to the Griddle Show. So make sure if you haven't already, you can always drop a follow over there. Or if you're a fan of this show, stay with us throughout the game and we'll transfer you right over. You can drop that follow then. BJ, anything you want to say to the beautiful people out there in Twitch land for us tonight?
Yo, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out with us, talking some football bullshit as we get into the next round of the playoffs right before the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah. And the
Pro Bowl. Thank you for stopping by and getting your hottest news straight off the griddle here with me and, ruffling some feathers over there with Justin. Right. Y'all have a beautiful night. We'll see y'all Sunday.
All right, guys. I will see you guys next time. We'll see you Sunday. And until then, try not to ruffle any feathers. See you guys later.